Well, it finally happened. They screwed up the entire real estate industry. That's right, there was an NAR settlement for the entire lawsuit that was going on, and they settled for $450-something million.
The National Association of Realtors has agreed to pay $418 million in damages to settle class action antitrust lawsuits over broker commissions.
Not only that, that's not the bad part. The bad part is they took away buyers and renters commissions. Now it's going to be illegal to have buyers commissions or rental commissions in your MLS. So what does this mean for you as a real estate agent moving forward? It's going to affect not only the buyer's agents, the renter's agents, but the listing agents as well. I'm going to break it down in the video, my thoughts on it, and what I plan on doing and how I'm preparing. Hey guys, my name's Andy Coleman. I'm with eXp Realty, and I'm one of the leading rental experts in the world. I was a number 2 ranked agent last year. I did about 250 rental deals. I've done around 700 deals in my entire career. Guys, I know a thing or two about real estate. This whole entire settlement is really going to do a number on the real estate industry. Now let's go through the logistics. I'm sure you guys have heard all about it already, so I'm not going to bore you with these details, but as a listing agent, you cannot put the commission for the buyer's agent in the MLS anymore. Along with that, you're going to have to get the buyers to sign a buyer brokerage agreement before you do any services for them whatsoever. Meaning, if you're going to open up a door for them to do a showing, gotta get a buyer's brokerage agreement signed. If you're gonna write an offer for them, gotta get this stupid document signed. Now, I've never done a buyer's brokerage agreement in my life. I do listing agreements when we need to, but we've never had to do buyer agreements. So this is gonna affect not only the buyer's agents, but the listing agents as well. I'm going to talk about how this affects rentals, which I don't think it's going to affect rentals whatsoever. And if you guys have been watching me, you know I do a ton of rentals. That's what I'm known for, and I don't think that's going to change at all. So personally, I think agents, if they're wise, they're going to start learning how to do rentals, or they're going to actually switch over to doing rentals once this change takes effect. Now, if you're a buyer's agent, what's going to have to happen is you got to send this agreement to your client before you do any services, right? So what I'm suggesting to do, and what I'm planning on doing myself, is I'm actually going to write in these agreements, these are not exclusive. So you can work with whatever agent you want. I don't care. I don't want to tie anybody down to a stupid document trying to trap them into working with me. I only want people working with me if they want to work with me. So that's number 1. I'm only going to make them sign an agreement that is non-exclusive. Also, I'm going to tell them I'm working for free. That's right. I am not going to charge them a commission. Listen, guys, the buyers and especially tenants, renters, they can't come up with the extra money. I mean, they're struggling to buy houses as it is right now with the high interest rates, with the low inventory, with the high home prices. They can't buy right now. What do you think? They're going to be able to add an extra $10,000, $15,000 onto their loan right now? Yeah, I mean, it sounds good in theory that you can wrap on, the buyer's commission into the loan, and that would work if the house appraises for the proper value and they can afford the extra, $50, $75 extra per month. But I don't really believe that this cost should be passed on to the buyers. I think the system, how it was for the past 50 years, should stay exactly the same. And this system was invented for a reason. Back before the 1970s, there was only a listing agent. They would actually get around 6 or 7% commission, and they would handle the listing. If a buyer came to them, they would obviously handle the buyer, but they would also represent the seller. So this was going on for years. The buyers felt taken advantage of. They felt like there was a conflict of interest and nobody was actually looking out for them. That's why a buyer's agent became a thing. Then the listing agent would split the commission with the buyer's agent because the buyer's agent handled the buyer and the listing agent handled the seller. That has been going on for over 50 years. This settlement reversed 50 years of progress made by real estate agents and brokerages all across the whole entire country. I know they think that this is going to lower home prices, and you know what? Maybe it will one day, but not now. What do you think? Sellers are going to magically just take off 10, 15, 20 grand? No, they're going to think in their minds, if they're not going to have to pay a buyer's agent anymore, they just saved 10 or 15 grand. That's what they're going to think. They're not going to reduce the price of the house. At least not for the foreseeable future. Drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this whole NAR settlement. Let me know if you're afraid and worried about the changes that's going to happen in July. I'm personally not worried about it whatsoever, but I want to hear from you guys. Here's the thing. I don't think that much is going to change. I think most listing agents, and if you're a listing agent right now and you're watching this video, we got to stick together. Think about this. You're going to be a buyer's agent, right? You're not just going to be a listing agent. There's going to be times where you're working with buyers or maybe even working with renters. If you're like me, you do not want to get screwed out of getting a commission. So if all the listing agents stick together and say, hey, seller, we have to keep it like it's always been. Give half the commission to the buyer's agent if they bring a buyer, and I'll take my half. They can still negotiate in the listing agreement 6%, 5%, whatever it is. And then this way they can say, we're going to give 3% to the buyer's agent, 3% to the listing agent who is, you. If this happens, then nothing will change. Now, we always have discount brokers. Back in 2005, this whole thing happened. They came around, they started doing 2.5%, 3% total commission, for everything. And guess what? It didn't work. Nobody wants a discount broker. If you're good at what you do, why are you going to give a 50% reduction? The whole thing got phased out and it became a thing of the past. So any agents that are going to try to do that now, I don't think it's going to work in their favor. And then you got to remember, now you're going to be working for the exact same amount of money. Let's say you do discount yourself and say, hey, I'm only going to take 3%. Forget about the buyer's agent. We don't need them. Well, guess what? You're going to have to represent the buyer now. So you're going to be representing the seller and the buyer. That's double the amount of work. And arguably, working for the buyer is actually more work than actually working the listing. So you're going to be doing a ton of extra work for the same amount of money that you were making before. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I believe that all listing agents should still tell the seller, listen, we can't list it in the MLS. We can put it on our website. We can find creative ways to advertise to the buyer's agents that, hey, we're paying a commission. I mean, worst case scenario, the buyer's agent, all they got to do is call the listing agent and say, hey, are you paying a commission? That's it. That's all you got to do, right? Or text them or email them. It's not illegal to say, yes, we're paying a commission. You just can't put it in the MLS anymore. And then for the buyer's agents, if you put non-exclusive and you put 0% commission paid by the buyer in your buyer's agreement, why would the buyer not actually sign it? They have nothing to lose if they sign that. They just don't want to be locked in, saying, oh, it's exclusive. You can't work with anybody else. And hey, you got to pay me 3% if the listing agent doesn't pay me. No, I don't think that's going to work. I think you're going to have a really tough time if you start doing that and making demands of these buyers. So I'm doing it with a completely different approach. And I'm going to go after all of the listings that want to work with buyer's agents. And I'm going to tell my clients, hey, listen, if they're not paying, I'm going to do it for free. Now, in my mind, I believe maybe only 10 or 20% won't actually pay a buyer's agent. So yes, if I have to do a couple deals for free, that's okay, because this entire settlement is probably going to weed out like 50% of the realtors now. So we're going to have even less competition. So I'm going to be able to do more deals. So if I'm getting 80, 90% of deals that are still paying, then I'm going to make more in the long run doing it this way. Yeah, I might be doing a deal here or there for free, but what about the dozens of deals that I'm still getting paid my normal 3% commission or 2.5% commission? Guys, that's a lot of money. That's still $10,000 or $15,000 on average per deal that you're doing. And we're not even talking about the renters. And if you're working with renters, I'm almost guaranteeing that you're still going to get paid half a month's rent commission. The renters can't afford to pay an extra half a month on top of first, last, and security. If the property's $3,000, that's $9,000. You think they have an extra $1,500 to come up with? That's $10,500. They can't do it. And I don't think any landlord's going to expect them to do it. I don't think it's worth it for the landlords to let the property sit on the market for extended periods of time, losing rent, plus having to pay all the expenses, the mortgage, the insurance, the taxes, etc. I don't think it's worth it just for them to save half a month's rent commission. They can make more in the long run if they just do it like it's normally done now, paying a commission to the tenant's agents. So agents, the plan is start working with renters now. Also, if you're gonna have to work with buyer brokerage agreements, yes, if you do my strategy, I'm sure you'll get people to sign those buyer brokerage agreements. But let's just say hypothetically you don't want to do that, or you have a problem with doing the strategy that I say. Then you're going to want to have a relationship with the buyers that you're working with so they feel comfortable in signing a document. If you're trying to send a document to a brand new stranger, a buyer that doesn't know you, has no relationship, has no clue who the heck you are, I don't think that's going to be a great idea, and good luck doing that. But if you're working with renters, like I've worked with a ton of renters, I have a great database and I have a great relationship with them. I don't think they're going to have any problem signing an agreement, especially if I say non-exclusive and 0% commission paid by you. So you want to start working with these renters now to build those relationships so they turn into buyers later. And trust me guys, you can still make a good amount of money working with renters right now. Me personally, I'm making around half a month's rent commission, $2,000 average per deal. If you do 20 deals in a month, that's 40 grand. Plus stack on top of that purchases. I got 2 purchases under contract this month alone. Plus I've done a bunch of rentals. That's a lot of money, guys. Now let's talk about the listing agent, right? And why this is not good for the listing agent. You also have to get a buyer broker agreement for the buyer if you're not working with buyer agents. So you have to make the buyer that's interested in your listing sign a buyer brokerage agreement before you could even show them your listing. That is crazy. And then guess what? They're going to be working with other properties as well. It's not like they're just going to see your one property and that's it. So then you might become the buyer's agent and then have to go and show them other properties. So the whole system is going to get all screwy and all chaotic unless all of the listing agents and all of the agents stick together and just keep it the same way it is now. In your listing agreements, just have the seller say, I'm paying the normal commission, 5%, 6%, and that's it. When the buyer's agents call you up or the renter's agents call you up, just say, hey, yeah, I'm paying a normal commission. And that's that. As the buyer agent or the renter's agent, just get them assigned an agreement. Like I said before, if you want to do it for the 0% commission, knowing that the seller or the landlord is going to pay your commission and a non-exclusive agreement, then you're absolutely fine. You're not going to lose anything whatsoever. It'll take them 2 minutes to sign a document. And if you even want to do it right outside of the house, you can. Right before you step foot in that house, you can have it on your phone and say, hey, I'm going to send you a document to sign really quick right before we enter the house. Boom, problem solved. So guys, I'm not too worried about this new NAR settlement. I don't know if that's because I work with renters and a lot of my renters are going to start buying soon, so they trust me and they're not going to be afraid to sign these agreements. And I truly do not think that these commissions are going to change. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to do a little bit more negotiations with the listing agent. And hey, learn communication skills. If you're good at communicating, you're going to do well. I really don't think it's a good thing whatsoever, but at the same time, it's gonna thin out the herd. The strong are gonna rise to the top, like they always do. Things will normalize eventually, and it'll be back to business just like it used to be. As it is now, we have about 3 or 4 months until this new rule even takes effect. Well, I think we also have to see if the Department of Justice actually okays this. I don't know if this is like a done deal just yet. I know they actually did settle for it, but I don't know, when these rules are actually gonna go into effect. They're planning on mid-July is what they're saying now, so things can still change, but we got to prepare for the worst. And I think the worst is it's just going to be a little bit harder to be a buyer's agent or a renter's agent or a listing agent. Either way, we're still going to make money, we're doing a service, and we're still going to get paid. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked it, hit the like button, drop a comment below, let me know your thoughts on this entire NAR settlement. Let me know, what you're feeling about this and what you plan on doing, and if you agree with my assessments and if you agree with my strategies. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and guys, I'm going to be dropping videos every single week just like this, and I'll catch everybody in the next one. All right, it's pretty good, not bad.